Alrighty. TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday. It's always nice to have another Monday on planet Earth. Alright, what do we got going on today? Let's see. I'm trying to get these cords separated a little bit there. Okay, excellent. Let's get rid of some of the errors on the screen. We'll take a check and see if everybody can hear me. If I can hear me. Can you hear me now? And what are we looking at? That's the Russell we're looking at. Let's go over to the Swiss. Check her out. Check it out. Check him out. Whatever. Which button is that? There we go, right there. You can see the Swiss. Kind of, just hesitant. You can see it's in the daily sell for 3 days. Where's the red line? Went into the daily sell there. And let's see what fact check says right there. And there you can see right there. 2 days in a daily sell. We are 5 weeks in a weekly buy, but look at it today. It's breaking down. It was very close on Friday. Lots of pressure on it. We're banging against the top end of the range. J4X says soybeans. Let's get the Swiss on there. Right there. It's probably seeing the same pressure that's going on. And let's see. Let's see what will we do. We will. I know I have a mouse here. We'll do this. Where are you? There's the mouse. Let's see if we can hear us. Let's see if anybody's on the chat line too at the same time. We have a commercial. No, nobody on the chat line, so I didn't miss any questions so far, being only the first few minutes. And do we hear us now? Yep, there we go. So we are live. We are 5 by 5. Excelente. We have a few viewers out there. All right. So there you can see the dollar is sideways, but in Swiss franc dollar pairs trade terms, it is being pressured at the moment. There's no doubt about that. They are pressuring it. And that makes sense. It's the end of the year. I don't think there's any real clarity of anything. We have the inflation. We have a Federal Reserve that seems to be somewhat lost and can't figure out where it's going at the moment. I guess when you have so much money, you can get away with almost anything. That's usually what happens until you do something too obnoxious. So at this point in time, all we see is end of the year, lots of noise, a Fed kind of lost and losing credibility day in and day out now. And so the only thing left we have is just technical analysis. That's pretty much the name of the game. Stay with the technical analysis. And that's where we're at. And it's been that way for decades now. Decade and a half, I guess you could say. In other words, 13 years or 12 years. I see it started in 2008, and it's not stopping. And where are we at now? 2000, ready to go into 2022. So you're talking 14 years. That's about that. Let's jump over to the next product, unless someone wants to see something about the Swiss. And you can see here this morning the euro went into the daily sell on Friday. Let's just double check that fact check spreadsheet. Where's that at? Line 14 right there. Yeah, went into the sell. You can see 12 weeks in a sell, 1 day in a sell. Sell. And just seems to be leaky. It's like a little leaky rowboat, just kind of slowly leaking. We thought that when we started to see this up curve, this morning, I thought, oh, maybe we're going to see a good sign. So we'll wait. We saw it do this back here at the last top, in the middle of the range. And we have Fibonacci, the range, as you can see here. There's the top end of the fib right there. There's the bottom end of the fib right there. We're in the daily sell, and you can see the weekly is trying to finally show some super life. Matter of fact, it's barely just on the edge. Let's see, what is it? It's quoted at minus 0.00005. It's a tight market there at the end of the year. And we really, traders, you have to be careful out there right now because it's the end of the year, and for the last 4 weeks and going into the next 2 weeks, what is going to happen is because there's something called taxes. Hedge funds, mutual funds, retirement funds, fund funds, investors have to take their position and adjust it for those situations, just like an Elon Musk, who sold out $10 billion worth of his stock and broke a record on paying the largest tax bill in American history. So I guess you would say that's definitely your fair share, and that's, I think he's paying $8 or $9 billion in taxes this year, something like that. So what we see here right now is that it's the end of the year and there's a lot of odd little noise. Hey, Jordan, yo, Doc, practicing going short while in a long trade on XAU. Oh, so gold, is that called hedging? Let's see. Let me read that again. So, practicing going short while in a long trade. Yeah, I guess so. It depends. Your long trade is like what? 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade. How long you been long XAU? And then we can kind of label it. And then at the same time, when you say you're going short, you're going short for 5 minutes, an hour, for a day, in other words, you have to just give me a little bit more information so I can give you an accurate interpretation from my point of view, and what professional markets, how they interpret it, and then we can discuss the objective. But that is practicing, that's for sure. It sounds like practicing. What do they say? If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And if you're in a long position and you're practicing going short, that would be called hedging. I agree with that. So that makes sense also. So yep, and yep. Yip, and yowie. I hope that answered your question. And I think I gave you enough parameters around it to appreciate how and how the markets function in a sense of thought of describing practicing and being long and being short, and describing, yes, I'm short for the short term, but I'm long. Like, there used to be, let me stop right there. There used to be something, I think I mentioned it on Friday, Adam, but my subconscious screamed it out, and that was at one time before the legalization of listed options back in 75, 76, because it happened at the end of the summer in 75. So we always kind of think of it as some type of mixed year. There used to be something called shorting the box. And what that was is let's say you were long a company, stock or something like that, or currency, and then you were going to short it in a different way, in a different account, or it was the same account in your name, but not the same account that you're long in. And so you could take the tax. Now we're back to taxes. I've forgotten. That's the reason why you shorted the box, is to take a profit. Or was it hedge? I forget at this point. But it was a tax situation. You shorted the box, and that's what they called it, the box. And it was the same product you're long for a long time, but you sold it short for a trade. It was just geared towards tax law, really. And so, every so often, when someone's talking about, they try to quote people from the 40s or the 30s or the 20s or so forth, and how they got long or short. That was some of the reasons why that was how the short worked. It was called shorting the box, and it was like a whole different thing. Went long on the 15th, and short term, short. So short term, like today or last couple days, or 15th was what? Thursday? Wednesday? Tuesday? Let's see, 17th was Friday, right? So that was Tuesday. And so, is that right? Or is that Wednesday? 15th is Wednesday, yeah. So Wednesday, you got long, which is cool. This is what, gold? XAU? Let's take a look and see. Everything's worthy of conversation as far as I'm concerned. Like I always say in trading, when it comes to money, There are no stupid questions. There are only long answers or short answers. Yeah, yeah. So you've been long that move. Okay, that's cool. Let's see what it looks like on Chicago Quant. Go to the gold right there. Yeah. And so you're long that, and now you're thinking that you want your long-term position to stay on, but you're short-term shorting it so you can defend against any possible weakness. That makes sense. Yeah, that's a good practice. Makes sense to me. So I mean that's usually the way it works, you know. That is usually the way it works, and you know that's what you want to do. You want to constantly practice. Like I always say, you know, when we're talking here in an international forum, you know, your local international football, you know, soccer, as we call it here in the States, you know, those guys just don't show up on the game day and start playing. They practice all week long. You know, they're practicing and practicing and practicing. It's in every sport and pretty much everything that the professionals do. They practice and they practice and they practice and they practice, and they never stop practicing until they retire. And that's the way it goes, you know, until they don't play the sport. Trading is the same way. It's like a physical sport. You must be in shape for it. You must work and practice at it, and you can never stop, because you may get lost in other things by doing so. All right, I hope I answered your question there. If there's more, fire away. Let's see. What do we got here? Okay, let's shoot over to... Yeah, I don't blame you. You know, I think we're playing with a weekly buy for the first week. We're in a weekly buy. It was pretty firm all week long. It was in that weekly buy. It was trying to close out in it. It did. Daily buy for a few days. You can see the strength in here today. Yeah, there's pressure on this thing. There's pressure on the upside. You got this inflation thing. Maybe they try to look sane. And when I mean they, I'm talking about the Federal Reserve. And maybe they don't go pounce the daylights out of the metals complex for a couple of weeks. Maybe they let it be, let it breathe. I mean, how can you have all this inflation and expense and watch the metals complex play the lows of the last, 9 months? It's like, what is that? It doesn't make any sense. It illegitimizes the decision-making process of the Federal Reserve itself. That's the big problem with that, is that the Federal Reserve is supposed to look smart. They're supposed to act smart. They're not supposed to act like lost traders. And with Mr. Powell starting that transitory story, for whatever reason, be it the politics, because the Federal Reserve is truly a political machine now, just to get nominated. And so he wouldn't confirm that there was inflation for 6-7 months when everybody else was screaming there's inflation. And all the every we asked the people in Turkey, is there inflation? Ask the people in Europe or the United States, is there inflation? People see it. Prices have been going up. They go to the store, they try to buy something, it costs more. And so, for having the Fed chair for 6 months give us that story, this is nothing, it's going to go away. Now he says it's not going to go away so fast. That's not what he was hired to do. And now they've given him a second term, maybe he'll start to act more responsible, which would be really nice, because right now all he looks like is just part of a political process. All right. Where are we going from there? Okay, oh yeah, so let's go back. We saw the euro. Let's go back to the euro. We'll go back onto the currencies, unless anybody, including Jordan, would like to see something else. If you want to see something else, be my guest. Shout it out. We'll check it out. So next, one of the surprises this morning, not this as much, we talked about that, but we also thought that the cable was going to do that same type of move. But it is not. Look at that. The cable's curving down, and we're falling into a daily sell again, after bouncing days and days and weeks now off of the bottom end of the range. It just keeps on bouncing, and it's found a way to roll over. I guess that's an internal thing. Great Britain is doing its best to shoot itself in the foot with the flu, or what they like to call COVID, but it is the flu. It's just an aggressive flu. It's a nasty flu, but it's still the flu, and it's not, it's not the plague, or, it's it's not the Spanish flu of 1818, is it 1814, 1812, where a quarter of the world's population died. I mean, we don't even have 1% of the world's population dying at this point. Not even 1%. So, no doubt about it, they're trying to protect us from the cradle to the grave. But in the end result is that, it's not the Dark Ages, as much as they would like to pretend it's the Dark Ages. All right. Unless, as I said to a couple traders, people keep on saying to me, "Oh, did you see how many people are infected?" I say, "Yeah, but how many are dying?" Well, what's that got to do with things? I said, well, dying is the P&L. That's the profit and loss. I mean, if we had 10% of the population dying, yes, we would be extremely concerned. If I had 5% of the population dying, I would be extremely concerned. If I had like 3 or 2% of the population, I'd be a lot more interested. But when I have less than 1% of the population dying, it sure is not anything new. And the death rates are nothing dramatic. That's the problem. That's the P&L. If there's a P&L in life, it's living and dying. That's what it comes down to. When you're talking about sickness. All right. So there we are with the cable. And the cable, obviously, they're talking about doing all kinds of wonderful things about closing the society down. So I guess that's what we're looking at there. And we could see, as I said, let's put it up on J4X too at the same time. You see the thing's just banging along the bottom end of the range. It doesn't have a lot of, a lot of gusto. There's not a lot of interest in it at the moment. But we really thought that when we saw the euro doing its turn, we really thought, okay, cable's going to be doing the same thing. But look at this curve down. They're like, no thank you. We'll wait another week. And sure enough, they're waiting another week. All right, from there we go over to where we just discovered there's inflation, and that is Turkey. Gobble gobble has inflation. Who would have thunk? When they see their currency go from 1.5 to 18, who would have thought that they'd have inflation? No wonder they're trying to shoot the poor prime minister / now the president. And, they keep on having these little teeny coups where they've got to stop people from killing the poor guy. All right, there it is right there. There's the dollar Turkish lira pairs trade. You see it's trading almost at the 18 number. It's like all-time highs again. We'll put it up on here on the Chicago Quant. All-time highs again, playing through our number. We're deeply, as we've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks, we're in weekly buys. Again, forget the fundamentals, traders, because, man, they're just not functional. We went into the weekly buy here. We went into a daily buy a couple days before that, and then finally, went into a daily sell, but no weekly sell. We have not seen a weekly sell. So the product has gone from literally where'd it go from? Let's say where it's going from. It went from here's the price tag. There it is right there. Went from the 8.5, it doubled in price. Ow. Hard to have an industrialized, successful nation when your currency goes double. That's why, I was saying something over the weekend to somebody about China is kind of like a colony of the United States. They don't have a floating currency. They only have, their biggest customer is us. In other words, we're the biggest contributor to them. No one puts money into them like we do. And we put $200-300 billion, $400 billion a year into them. They do lots of manufacturing. They're like our little colony. They just produce the products that we want. We give them pennies on the dollar, and boom, we got it. And they got slave labor. They've got no freedom. It works out really well. That's why all our leftists love China. Love China. Been watching cable all night and got stopped out a few times practicing to enter at the right area. Well, remember, Jordan, it's the the cable? Oh, British pound. Yeah. For a moment, I thought you meant you were watching the TV show. Yeah, let's just take a look at it. We can go there and take a look at it. Don't we have one of those things parked in there for you? What's your tell us about your decision making process. We can go through that. Right there. There's your hourly. I can see all the weakness through it all. You see our work going into, Sunday night. Let's widen this thing. I think we have some of the tools that we talked about down below for you, but let's widen out Doc's work. This is the hourly chart, and it was in a cell from, so it was in a cell from Friday afternoon. Is that Friday afternoon? Or is that Friday morning? I think that's Friday morning, actually. So it's been in a cell on your hourly concept since here on our work. We're going to put a yellow line in there and move it all the way down like that. Well, that didn't work. Let's try that one more time. Oh, there it is, right there. So there it is. So this is that hourly thing you follow. So it's been in a cell for that all the way through to where? Just in the last hour. Right? Yeah. So there's the it's starting to do it right now, actually. It's been in a cell on our work all the way there. Now, this is what is this? This is the fast stochastic against the slow and the RSI. And you're using what? The stochastic against the RSI? I think that's what it was. So the RSI is the black thing, I think? Yeah, that's the RSI. So it's been moving down, like in our math, so that's okay. The stochastic is deeply underneath most of the time. I think the fast stochastic is the white. Let's just double check that. That way. Style. Product. Yeah, that's the fast stochastic. So it's the white. Okay, so the white is the fast stochastic. The blue is the slow, and it's been hugging in and out. I can see that. And then I see it turned up here, right there. I see. So it turned up right there, then dropped down again. I see. And it's below your it hasn't turned up until right here, right? Let's make it yellow. This way it's much more identifiable, like that. There we go. So you can see the yellow hasn't broken your fast, your RSI. Does that make any sense? Am I interpreting it correctly? We'll wait for your answer back. While we're waiting for your answer back, I'm just going to go finish off the Turkish Lira. And so let's go check out Euro Turkish Lira. And we'll go back to that once you give us a response there. Let's see. Euro Turkish Lira. It's here somewhere. Not up my sleeve. There it is right there. Alright, so that's, cleanly broken the 18 with no problem. We're really concerned that we're going to see 24 now. I mean, we were looking for 18 and maybe like a resting spot, like something like this, But no, I don't think so. Look at that. We're almost at 20 now. The all-time high is 19. No, the all-time high is 20.035. And it looks like it keeps on making new highs. Okay, so we're in the throes of this move. Now, for those listeners out there, what we were speculating on, sometimes we use the word speculation, and that is that we were thinking that the Euro Turkish Lira had gone from 1.5 to 3 under Prime Minister Erdogan, and then it went from like the 3s to the 6 under President Erdogan, and then it went from 6 to 12 under President Erdogan. So we're assuming, obviously, well, if 6, times 6, 6 plus 6 is 12, then are we going to see 24? In other words, 12 plus 12. Since it keeps on doubling under President Erdogan. No wonder the poor guy is being shot at. It's sad. Stop shooting at this man. Let him do his work. I guess it's going to go to 48. I don't know. It's going to go ruble on us. That's what it looks like. And imagine if China wasn't a colony of the United States, then they'd have like a floating currency, and I don't know what would their GDP would be like nothing, right? Because I mean they have it fixed at like 7. It's like 7.1, 7.5, 7.8, 7.3. It's locked at 7, and it's not a floating currency. But what if it was a floating currency? Would it be 16? Would it be 32? Which means that the 6% and 5% GDP all of a sudden becomes like a -1 GDP. So, until it stops being a colony of the United States, in other words, it stops deriving something like 70 or 80% of its income from American purchases, and it actually becomes like what it wants to be, a world player, like Europe is, and Japan and Turkey, and the Russian Federation and South Africa, and I can name them all. Australia, they all have floating currencies, so we could see what the marketplace thinks about the value of their assets. But when you have a fixed currency that is controlled by that country, and then you can't really invest in that country with free market. You have to just invest. So you give them money, and then they give you bangles and beads and so forth, for it. In other words, they manufacture plastic toys. They manufacture footwear. They do everything, and they got these slave labor camps that do it, and then they have these private little industrialized military things that do it, and then they have these, it's just, to me, all I know is that if we don't see a currency floating every day out there, where the world can trade it, then it's not really it's not a free economy. So that's all I'm saying. And so Turkey, as bad as the currency is going, at least the currency floats. So where would China's currency be today if it was allowed to float? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Would it go half ruble? Would it go to 30 something? Would it go to, when you see China and you see the Russian Federation, are they at parity with each other? I don't know. Are the communists better? Why doesn't Russian Federation go back to communism? Maybe the ruble would come back down to like 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know. It's a question. I throw that out there. Anybody has an opinion, fire it out. I'm all ears. I want to hear what anybody thinks about it. Yes, practicing with different tools this session, but I did have the RSI for a entry trigger. Oh, okay. So you can see, let's go back to the and was it an hourly chart or 3-minute chart or 5-minute chart or 1-minute chart? I know you're comfortable with that 1 hour thing. So there's the 1 hour, and you can see here, let's change the slow stochastic to a different color also. This way, it's not so dramatic. There it is, confusing the RSI. So the RSI is the black and light blue thing going on. And then the two stochastics are the yellow and the navy blue. I guess we should change it to not a blue so I can't get in trouble with two blues. So let's try that. How about orange and red? There we go. All right, there we are. So you can see, there was a buy there with the two stochastics. That's what we do with Chicago, the J4X here. So like when you're looking at the Turkish Lira, you see there's the white line, there's the yellow. Maybe we should do the same colors there. We'll do that. So we'll make the fast stochastic white like we have it on J4X, like so. And then we'll make the slow yellow. Oop, okay. There we are, like that. And so you can see here it's turned up, but so did your RSI, I see. Are you playing the range of it? Is that what it is, like the high and the low? How's that work? All right. While we're waiting for his answer there, we'll finish off the Turkish Lira. So, as we speak and watch the Euro-Turkish Lira pairs trade, it's making new all-time highs. So now the all-time high is 2013 instead of 2003. Yeah, and that's what is called a floating currency, where it trades independently on the marketplace. No doubt that the central bank tries to influence it, the Federal Reserve tries to influence it. You know what? You know who might be stopping? I just got this idea. You know who may really be stopping China from having a floating currency? Would probably be the Federal Reserve, since they like to play mommy and daddy of the world of finance. Imagine if they had to defend the Chinese currency at the same time they're defending all the other currencies that they play with. It could really explode their balance sheet even higher. Never really thought about that, you know. Let's see, 1 minute chart, it went into OS, then to 50, then retested the OS zone, the bullish reversal. Let's check it out. 1 minute chart. Boy, I bet that 1 minute chart is flying all over the place. And there it is right there. And let's change the parameter to 1 minute. And there it is right there. And let's see how it calculates. That's not too bad. Let's widen that out. My math is trying to... Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, but why is it doing that? Oh, I got to change the scaling too, I guess. Oh, that's my gasoline. So scaling to the screen. Yeah, that's it. There we go. That makes sense. All right. So what do we got here? So we know that there is the RSI is the black line basically, and black and red. Okay. Like my school colors of Hatfield. Like the Hun in Princeton, and the Pennington in Pennington. All these red and blacks, and like Rutgers, red and black, but not Princeton U. That's orange and black. All right, so you can see here. I guess it turned up there. It did make a little move there. My work rolled over, so it was going down again. Then it tried to turn up right there. And went down again, and back up again. Oh, that's a volatile 1 minute. Think about going spatial. Let's do a spatial one and see what the difference is. See how choppy that is? And this is just the last hour. So let's go do spatial instead of Newtonian time. And let's go with Mr. Tesla. Let's do the one Tesla number. 369. So we're going to give you 1 Tesla. There it is. And let's see what happens there. Let's see if it smooths it out anymore, since it looks very choppy with the 1 minute. Still backfilling. And you are using that range thing, right? The oversold, overbought type thing with it. But we'll let that fill in, and then we'll come back and look at it. We'll go over to Canada right now. Let that do that. You can see Canada is heading back up towards the... what's it doing? It's heading up to the top end of the range again, and we're still in the weekly. You see that there, too, at the same time. What else can we do? So that's Canada. And because of the strength in that, we're assuming metals is trying to go down, and we're assuming crude oil is trying to go down, you know, all those things. And I guess in the end result, maybe Mr. and Mrs. South African Rand are going to be moving back up again, too, just like Canada does. Let's check your product and see how the spatial is going. See what filled in. Let's just reduce the quantity of them. How about like 100? Let's try that. See if it fills in. No, nothing there. Still backfilling. Alright, let's go check out the metals complex while we speak about it. Put the XAU right there. Let's see what gold is doing this morning. Looks like it's down a little bit there. Let's check it out. I thought it was doing some positive things. And there's the gold right there on Chicago Quant. And you can see it's heading, trying to head down a little bit there, a little pressurized, a little pressure there. See the curve for the weekly, but still in the buy. And it's been in that buy for a couple of days, and you can see it's trying to do nothing. So it's kind of quiet. It is lower. It is down for the day overall. Okay, so it is matching up with the Canadian. Now let's take a look at the crude oil. We already know what the story there is in the February contract. They're smacking it this morning. It wasn't a daily buy coming in. But again, traders, you couldn't really be too comfortable with that, because why? We're in a weekly sell now, back here since the 80s. So yeah, no surprise that we're in the 60s and low 70s, because we've been in a weekly sell since the mid or lower 80s. Now, let's see what it looks like on Chicago J4X there. Oh, he seems to do it. There it is. And there's the crude. I see it. Okay, so obviously these two are having their issues, and at the same time I'm just doing a little whistling there, whistling through the graveyard, and you know, because it's still not filling in. Let's see, let's try this. Let's try ticks. There we go, we got it now. Check this out. Here's your spatial. And see how smoother that is compared to minutes? And notice how the strength, you know, it went into the buy here with the RSI, you know, overbought, sold, and has stayed in the buy all the way up through this whole ride. See the difference in spatials? That's 2 hours ago. You know, we're looking at 3 hours back. See the difference there with that spatial thing, you know? Let's see, 1 minute chart went bullish reversal. Okay. Let's see. I still recommend you move away from those Newtonian things and you go over to Doc's spatial things. Spatial is where it's at. You know, in the future, people are going to realize that, but not right now. They're going to have to learn it the hard way. Let's see. Oh, middle age. How about that South African Rand dollar? I don't know. We're heading there right now. Now that we've seen that, you know, we proved our point with the spatial mathematics, or the spatial charts, in other words, ticks and contracts, ticks or contracts versus minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, hour, and so forth. All right, now let's go over to that South African Rand and see what's going on. We're assuming it's going up. In other words, they're not selling it down anymore, which is a positive thing for metal. Where's it at? USD ZAR. USD ZAR. There we are. See what she's doing. Yeah. Oh, you're right. Look at that. It's still down. Damn, cool. And playing with the weekly. I would have thought it was up. You know, with the way the Canadian's going, and with the way oil's going, with the way gold is. It's not. Look at that. Maybe this is a really good sign, you know. I really think this currency does know how to read future action in the metals complex. So I guess it's trying to tell us, and you know, when you look at gold, let's put gold in there now. When you look at gold on our work right there, you can see it doesn't really want to go down. It's down, but it doesn't want to go down, because look at it, we're in the weekly. It's no matter, they're beating it up right there. I agree, but they're still in the buy, and it's in the daily buy, and it's not willing to go bust underneath at the moment. So yeah, you're right. You know, the South African Rand, I think, has a good feel for the metals complex. I really do. You know, let's just squeeze it up a little bit here with Doc's work. You can see here, you know, I mean, back here in September, late September, it went into a buy. Even when it vacillated, went down, and then went back up again. And when you look at gold, going all the way back to, you know, was that, what did I say, September, October, right? So there's October. And October, you know, the product went sideways, and then, I see, it went down into that the same way. But notice, that is interesting. You know, it stays in the sell, but it firms up by about, what's that, $50. So it keeps on trying to climb and sells down again into November, right there, just in a couple days, over that week, right there, still in the sell. Then it goes into the buy, and gold goes roaring up, and that's the thing that confused us, is why the South African rand went up at the same time, why it didn't keep on following this move all through December. And you can see here, this thing went like that, and what did it do? The metals, even with it in a buy, and went into that daily sell at the top in here. And so the money knew that it was going down, and it did. And the South African rand knew it too. See that right there? It knew it too. Yeah, you're right, Middle Age, I'm glad you turned me on to watching the Czar. It may be the answer to, the whole end of the year, gold, the whole bit, the metals complex. I have to believe that the Federal Reserve gotta leave this thing alone for at least a week or two. Let it trade. Let it go to its natural tendency of inflation increasing, gold increasing. For us to watch this thing, and you can see basically we've known since like June when Mr. Powell said, "Oh no, inflation is transitory." We're like, "No, it's not transitory. It's not." And we don't see how it can be, because every day when we go to the store, we buy fuel for our machines. A whole bit. It's always getting more expensive. So, and you can see here, this is gold. I'm sorry, this is South African rand. It was riding up, and we were like, this doesn't make any sense. And they knew. The South African rand, let's fix that. Let's give it a spin. There. The South African rand knew back in June, when Mr. Powell was pushing this crazy idea that, inflation was transitory. It knew, they're going to beat the daylights out of the metals complex. And we were like, oh, gold should go to like 20, 2,000. It should go to 2,000 at least. No, what did they do? They took it down to 17 and change. So yeah. All right, let's go back. Oh, we did. We finished off. I'm waiting for Jordan to say something about 1 minute versus spatials. There it is right there, Jordan. Trust the spatial. Look at that. Spatial went into the buy there. Looks a hell of a lot better, even with that little dip-dee-dee-do. Stayed in the buy. And you're, is that right? No, that's not right. That's dollar. Hit the wrong button. Button. There it is right there. There we go. That's better. There's your spatial. Went into the buy back in here, and it's not letting up, and it's giving you the warning sign now that it's at the top end of its range. But it's still running hot, steady, and straight. Like a good torpedo. And so to look at that, going after the highs of the last couple hours, right? That's a 4 hour, that's a 3 hour plus chart. So it read it really well. Matter of fact, let's go back and look at the, okay, we have to add more time to it. Let's add more bars. So let's go back another 50. So it'll fill in. 5, enter. There we go. So let's see how far back that pushes it. That pushes it all the way to Sunday night, right? Yeah. So you can see here, let's see, where is that playing the range? So it goes and finds a bottom there, you're overbought, sold, and it does lift. See the difference in spatial versus minutes? It's just so sloppy, those minutes. But it doesn't touch the top end of the range, does it? Until now. Oh, and it goes and goes down to the bottom of the range. There's another one of those down at the bottom end of the ranges, and it lifts again there. And then there's another bottom end of the range right there, and it starts this lift there. So let's go back one more. Let's see if we can put more time into it and see how it looks. Using your tool that you're watching. And so your tool's okay. It's your way of viewing the chart. That's the key right there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to 200. See what 200 does. 200 bars back. Looks like it filled in already. That's pretty cool. Ooh, it almost changed color here, didn't it? Is that filled in? Yeah, it's filled in. Let's go back to 50 now. But see how it got... No, wait a minute. It's the black. That's right. So there's your top. Okay, so it gave you a top here. And that's what? Sunday night, and it sold down. Then it didn't go down and touch the lows though. Notice that? And it started to turn up and then it sells down again. Goes and makes... My work's touching the lows. Remember, my work is the white and the yellow. That's like the same way as we look at it on J4X here. The white and the yellow, right there. See it? Okay. So I'll just wait for Jordan to say that. We're just going to keep on looking at our normal rhythm until Jordan jumps back into the game. Let's go ahead over to, we just saw the ZAR. So let's take a look at the ruble now. And there's the ruble. Kind of a daily buy now for a bunch of days. Still in a weekly buy since back here. And that's what we always say too. You know, we're like, you know, free the currency in China. Free the currency. Let it trade. Would it be half a ruble in price? Would it be same price as a ruble? Would we see 60 or 70 or 80, you know, yuan to the dollar? Free the ruble. No. Free the yuan. That's it. Free the yuan. Still trying to understand your work. Did read about it on your website? We'll have to read a few times of understanding. That's no problem. We can just any question you have, just ask. We'll explain it. It's no problem at all. Glad to explain it. One thing we do is we do not pay attention to, you know, any Newtonian time. We'll look at planetary time. Remember, a day is spatial. It's not really. It just happens to blend in with the Newtonian, but it's a in other words, if the planet slows down, then our thing. But when you do ones, twos, threes, fours, and fives, they can't slow down. They don't show you slowing down or becoming faster. Whereas a spin of something, the movement of something does. So we follow dailies and weeklies and monthlies, and that's in a big glob, I guess you could say. But what we really do is we look at spatial, through the number of ticks. So in other words, if you're watching 100 ticks, then what happens is that one might happen in a minute in one product, but it might also in that same product when it slows down, it may take 3 minutes for it to do it. Do the 100 ticks. So it's actually measuring volatility and time together. Isn't that neat? Volatility and time together. Indeed. That's what Doc's math really does. It does volatility and time together. So it's a whole different form of time. So Doc has his own way of looking at time, which that's what Lorenz and Hamiltonian and Applause. I don't know. There's a lot of math out there over the centuries. Gauss looking at time in a different way. They just don't realize they were looking at time differently. Only Doc realizes. All right. Where are we at now? From there, we go from Mr. and Mrs. Ruble. We head back over to the yen. That's right, the yen. Free the one. We should have like a whole thing. We should have a website. Free the one. Let it trade. I bet the Federal Reserve will probably hate me for this. I bet they don't want to have to deal with the yuan. What a mess that would be. Can you imagine that? Oh man. They beat up on the Russian Federation ruble as it is. Do they really need to have to deal with the yuan? They can just sit back and go, "Thank you, Chinese. Keep your currency at whatever price you want it." And what's really funny is odd. It's odd funny is that our U.S. Treasury, the head of the Treasury, Mrs. Yellen now, but Mr. Mnuchin before her used to say, "Oh yeah, if they're manipulating their currency or not." And they used to say that the Chinese are not manipulating their currency. Well, how can they not be manipulating their currency when it's fixed and it doesn't float in the open market? But anyway, they got a little rule there. That's what sets up that range that they trade in. It always makes me laugh, but that's what it is. All right, you can see here, what is it? It didn't get into the weekly buy, but it's trying. We got the super trying on this 3-5 super, but the 3 is still underneath, as you can see right there at 21. You can see the daily is breaking down. Are we in the daily sell for a second day? Is that what that is? Let's see where it is on the fact check. Yeah. So it went into a sell on Friday, and it's still working its way down there now. Hey, Robin, how you feeling? Yeah. Robin could explain to you on a phone call if you want. Robin could do that. Robin's fighting the flu. He's got the C-19 flu. Oh no, it's called the Omicron flu. He's got the Omicron flu. And then last but not least, let's take a look at the Mexican peso. Mexican peso, right there. There we go. And you can see the peso doing its thing there, breaking down. You can see here the weekly's holding up pretty well still, but it's getting close. Look at that weakness there. Not sure what's going to happen there. We've been in daily sell for a couple of days and it's going nowhere. It's just down here. We're wondering if it's going to come up to the top end of this range now, to the 22s. So that's the answer to that one. Let me think. What else is there? I guess that's it when it comes to the currencies, unless anybody wants to see a currency. Taking another sip of my tea. And let's see, where is it at? Let's see. What is it at? It is, okay, so we move from here and we go over to the commodities. Let's see what the commodities are up to. Where are the commodities? There it is right there. So we saw gold. Let's see what silver's doing this morning. Right there. Trying to get into the buy. See, please, Mr. Federal Reserve, calm down. Let the thing trade. Free the one. Free the one. And let's see, what else is there? From there, we saw crude oil. Oh, let's see what copper's doing. Copper. Right there. That's been in the sell. It's had some real odd shakes and twists, you know, but it's not challenging the bottom end of the range, which we think is something like what is the bottom end of the range? Bottom end of the range is $4, we think. It's been that way, if you can see here on the Chicago Quant. And then let's put it up on J4X right there. Copper. There it is right there. There's the copper. And so that you can see it's doing that thing there too at the same time. And that's kind of interesting, you know. I mean, you know, I don't know if the world is really. They say growth is slowed down, but it's still growing. So that's part of the whole process. And so our Chicago Quant Technologies, that's what Robin's talking about. You can give him a ring through the website. But at this point in time, all we really see is, you know, we're at the end of the year. Everything is trying to, you know, do its natural thing, you know, I guess you could say. You know, for taxes, like Elon Musk. Elon Musk really showed what's going on with taxes. You know, he goes out and sells $8 or $9 billion or $10 billion worth of his stock, and he pays Uncle Sam $8 or $9 billion in taxes. Yeah, it has a big effect. You know, it has a major effect on how funds invest and what they do, and that is the answer to that. That is. That really is, that's part of the answer to the whole process. All right, now, let's see. Let's take a look at, I know what I want to do. I just want to help out Jordan for a second here. Where do we go? I know I have it here somewhere. There it is. And we're just going to show you this, Jordan. You can see this at the end. So this is Doc from North America. And there's the phone number to Robin at the same time. And so this is Doc from North America. Everybody have a safe and happy Monday, TGIM. And we'll talk to you on Tuesday. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Oh, what's that, Jordan? That then could try the 2-week. Yeah, sure. Talk to Robin. Here, I'll put it up there again for you. That's no problem. And you just tune in here every day to Dukascopy. I'm here every day. So put the two together and you really are cooking with gas, you know? You're cooking with gas easily. All right. So, traders, we will catch you tomorrow. Ta-ta.